my name is Bruce Biggs, this is Nathan, Alex, Urbina, and we're back with our second guests here, Doris and Stephen Zimmer.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Great to be with you, Alex.
Yeah, let's introduce them. Let's give them a nice introduction. Why do we have them on the show here today?
Well, some things that we would like to honor. First of all, we'd like to honor their services for what they've done in their lives and to help the community with a banquet at our school. They've helped at many health societies and communities, and as well as many associations in general. For example, the California-Mexico Border Health Association. They've also focused a lot on education with being chairmans and former chairmans and stuff like that. Mainly Steve, who is currently the chairman of one of the board of trustees. Is that correct?
Yes, at College of the Canyons.
Okay, and one of the first things I would like to ask for Doris is, why exactly did you go back to COC at such a late age?
I went back to graduate school when I was 60 to get a master's in educational counseling. And there was actually two very important reasons. First of all, COC is unique in that as a community college, it has both a high school and a contract with 7 to 9 different four-year universities on campus, so that people within the Santa Clarita Valley are able to continue their education and not have to move, which is particularly important to families where people are already employed and then they want to upgrade their education. So it was very convenient. I probably would not have the closure and completion of my master's had that facility not been available to me, because it would have meant I'd have to go to UCLA.
Yeah.
So it was an important completion in my life. I always felt that I wasn't quite done with my education, and I still don't feel that way, but I wanted one more credential. And I am a professional performance coach, and for me, there were a lot of kind of gaps in my education in coaching, and I felt that the educational counseling would provide a better foundation for me. Thank you.
Another question that is kind of a little interesting is, did you focus your education on human sexuality?
Oh, I fell in. Oh, doesn't sound too good. I was going to say I kind of fell into it. I was at UC Santa Barbara. I'm a sociology major, and was my areas were in criminology and interpersonal relations, and took a human sexuality course. And for some reason, I really excelled, and was invited to become a teaching assistant. So it was an upper division course, and I was an undergraduate teaching assistant for UC Santa Barbara. And that gave me the credentials and learning to be a community educator when I went to the women's clinics in El Centro, California, and was able to create educational outreach for those clinics because of my experience.
That's really cool. I've always wanted to kind of go into psychology, kind of minor in it, mostly in like sociology and what kind of makes up people. That's always kind of intrigued me.
Yeah, one of the things that isn't known about Doris Marie is when she did teach the human sexuality classes and programs down in Imperial Valley in El Centro, she taught them to students in the high school, but she not only taught in English, she taught in Spanish. And if you think it's tough to speak a foreign language, try teaching human sexuality in a foreign language. It's really an eye-opener, and I'm very proud of her for doing that.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Guys really done a lot.
So something else that was quite interesting is, why exactly did you decide to go to the California-Mexico Border Health Association in the first place?
Oh, okay. Well, in my role as an administrator for the Women's Clinic, and because I was on the City Planning Commission, I became more renowned, so to speak, in the community. I mean, I was somebody who was an easy touch for volunteerism. And I was articulate, knowledgeable enough that I could be in service to areas that were not particularly my specific area of expertise. In this case, I was on the board of directors for the Farm Workers Clinic, Clínicas de Salud de Campesinos, and from that, I was invited to sit on this committee of medical providers that were mostly public health officials for Mexico and California, Arizona. As a border community with we had 50,000 people coming across the border every day for work in the United States, and then they go back to their homes in Mexicali. So as a result, there was a lot of health issues that were shared on both sides of the border, and this was a collaboration that allowed the providers to share information and coordinate their efforts in public health. And as a result of that, then I was appointed to the State Commission for Rural Health and did project and grant assessments and funded rural health clinics.
So you mentioned something about a farm workers thing. Is that particularly when you met your husband, or was that before or after, since you have mentioned that he was a farmer?
Yes, that's an excellent question. It's coincidental, but it makes a lot of sense. Stephen was raised in a farming family, and my mother was a Canadian farmer, so I have kind of a sweet spot for farmers, don't I?
Yeah, but that's not how she met me.
Why don't you tell the story?
No, she met me down in El Centro because she was running that clinic, and she had a board of directors, and I was the city attorney for the city of El Centro, and she needed somebody to be on that board of directors so that she could get free legal services. So she asked me to be on that board of directors. And then later on, when I was city attorney, she was appointed to the planning commission, so I was able to be there as the attorney for the city planning commission as well. So I met Doris Marie in two different capacities, one where I served as a board member, the other where I served as a city attorney advising her as a planning commissioner.
And then you fell in love.
Yep,
Yeah.
that was it. We did that down in El Centro, in Imperial Valley, and all that hot weather, I'll tell you that.
I think there's a song in there.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it could be a country western song, for sure.
With a happy ending. Because some country songs, they make you depressed.
Not this one. This would be a good one.
That's a good one. I like that.
Because we're coming up to our 38th wedding
Wow.
anniversary.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's been a great time.
That's awesome.
And then we did have, speaking of farming, we did own a 40-acre ranch in Ventura County, over between Moore Park and Somas and Fillmore. And it was 40 acres. It was a working ranch because we had 26 acres of avocados and 14 acres of lemons. And we sold all those on the open market. We were members of Sunkist Cooperative and an avocado cooperative as well. So it was an actual operating farm that we owned. We raised our kids there. We raised our kids with no television, so this radio is a good idea. So that's the kind of background with our kids and our family and being together as long as we have.
Beautiful.
So Bristol, do you have any questions you would like to quickly ask or so?
I have a question while you guys are thinking about one.
All right.
You guys are being recognized for outstanding service in the community. I'd love for you to share with me, what does service mean to you? And so that more kids hear what it means to be in service to others and being in contribution to your community. So we can kind of have a dialogue about that. So we're teaching the younger kids and inspiring them to want to also follow in some of your footsteps.
You want to go ahead?
Well, one of the things that I think that fundamental to our commitment to service is the fact that we have very clear family values and personal values. And part of the reason that Stephen and I are so easy with each other is that the things that are important to me are also important to him independently. So our values align, so to speak. And we obviously have a very strong value that is to supporting the welfare and the growth of our children. And you could kind of umbrella that into family. But we also, our other two values are education and service, and they're very fundamental to the way we look at life. One is that life is an opportunity to be a lifelong learner. And there's never a time in life when we don't have that chance if we just leave ourselves open to learn and to do more. And for us, we've been very privileged, and we give back because it's part of the essence of being human to us. To us, it's like fundamental. You have the privilege of life, and part of that privilege is a commitment to helping other people in your community. And we just happen to choose areas about which we have either knowledge or passion. And we've worked together a long time. I've worked for him for 10 years of my life. And during that time, we created nonprofit organizations in Ventura County. And we just really feel that if you give back, you get back way more. And I think that the other thing that people, and particularly businesses, don't realize is that the bottom line of their business is based on service, and that the more that they ask of their employees to provide service outside of the work, not only enhances the skill sets of their employees and gives them a chance to learn new things, it also connects their employees to the community that they serve. So it can become a very symbiotic and synergistic kind of relationship. What do you think, Stephen?
Well, service to me is anything you can provide to, and it's a value that I've been raised with, and that we have as a family as well. Is anything you can do for the community to serve your fellow man. One thing that I think very few people know about me is not only did I go to college and get a business degree, but I went to law school and got all of that training. But right after law school, I went into the Peace Corps. And the Peace Corps, because I'm so old, was still young. It had only been around for 10 years. It was started by President Kennedy. And so I went into the Peace Corps, and I went to South America, to the country of Colombia. And that really started heavy duty service for me when I came back here. And then when I came to this valley, I started on the College of the Canyons Foundation Board of Directors. That was an important educational opportunity, but a way to be in service to the students that are there. And that's always important as well. And then I've gone on to become a member of the Board of Trustees, which is an elected public official position. And we have a board meeting this afternoon, as a matter of fact, out on our Canyon Country campus. But being in service means a lot of things, but you get back way, way more. I'm on the board of directors of the Child and Family Center, and they deliver a lot of mental health services. We don't have to do any marketing there, let me tell you. The clients are out there, and we serve a lot of this valley. It's kind of a below the radar type of service, but still very important in this community, and I enjoy doing that and making sure that we provide service that changes lives, and we hear about it every day being involved with Child and Family Center.
That's awesome. It sounds like when you went to the Peace Corps, you caught the bug, the compassion bug. And when you are able to tap into your heart and tap into that compassionate part of you, you were able to identify with the suffering of other people, and it hooked your heart, and realize that you want to keep making a difference. And it seems like that's how you live your life, is making a difference anywhere you go. And it's almost like it gives your life a little bit more meaning, right, to help other people win too.
Yeah, it's very fortunate experience that I don't think enough people get to take advantage of. And it didn't start when I went to the Peace Corps. I mean, I went to UC Berkeley, and let me tell you, that's it has it's a great experience to go there. There's no doubt about it. But that's a place where you learn all about what society is and what community is and serving others, and a lot of that happened at UC Berkeley. And then it happened at law school, where you figure out a different way to help people. And then the Peace Corps for me was a logical next step, and it was a very important place where, as you say, Alex, it's where you learn deep compassion. You learn how to serve community and a people, and you learn how to make a difference, which is the most important aspect of all.
That's awesome.
I'd like to add one thing about service is that one thing we haven't mentioned is that we learned volunteerism from our parents, and our children have as well. And so if you have parents that are deeply committed, Stephen's father was in several service organizations in El Centro. Stephen was in service organizations in El Centro. Even I was in a service organization. So family really will have a great impact if people just talk in their families. Thank you.
Well, you said earlier that, you acknowledge that you guys are driven by certain morals and values that drive you. And so obviously service is one of them, and it reflects in everything that you do. And we're grateful. I'm grateful that you guys are part of the Santa Clarita community, and that you guys are, choosing to embrace the village and continue to help people here. So thank you from me. We got a couple more minutes. So one more question, Adam, and then we can wrap it up.
So I know this is a little bit of a stretch, but why exactly did you decide to focus on giving to the community with your current knowledge?
Go ahead, Doris.
Well, as I said earlier, it's part of my foundational values. When I was a child, I saw people that gave to the school and volunteered. And my father worked and volunteered. He was a religious man, and he volunteered in the church. And what I learned from him was that people benefited when he gave of himself instead of sitting around. And this was like before television even, so you can't say sitting around with couch potato, eh? But his father was a volunteer. He was a Silver Beaver in the Boy Scouts. And we knew, I knew instinctively that if I spent some time giving back, that was my responsibility as being, in those days, a Hoover and now a Zimmer. It was something that was understood and I embraced wholeheartedly. I was a rebel on some things, but not that.
So basically your life purpose is to give back?
I would say pretty much. I certainly give back to my kids, hell.
And I think, living a purpose-driven life is a meaningful life. And again, we thank you. Thank you guys so much for being here. We appreciate you taking the time. Stay tuned for more of Our Way on the Highway right here on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.
All right. Hello. My name is Bristol Biggs, and this is Nathan.
Hello
We
again.
also got Alex Urbina here again. And this is Our Way on the Highway, and for the remaining time that we have here, we're going to be talking about some life hacks.
In our crazy, just weird, wacko teenage life.
It's adjective teenage life.
Yes.
So one of the first things that we have is how to manage your time.
Yes, that is a very important thing, especially in high school. And when you go to college, you're going to need to figure out how to manage all your classes and your assignments and stuff.
Yeah. One of the things that I usually do when I need to manage my time and I need to keep track of something, because when you go home, it's really, really, really easy to forget something.
Especially when you're just hanging out with your friends during the last few minutes and just doing all sorts of weird stuff.
Yeah, and like I come home, I don't even hang out with friends some of the time. I'm just like, I come home and I'm like, hey, I want to play video games now, and then I completely forget about everything.
Of course, that's pretty much a lot of teenagers. When they get home, they just want to do what they do every day.
Yeah. So one thing that I do when I'm in the middle of class and I hear somebody saying something is I have this handy dandy little notepad right here in my jacket that some people can't see.
Of course.
And when a teacher says something that sounds important, or I need to take some kind of note or something that I need to be doing at a specific time or something, I'll take out this notepad and I'll start writing something down. And it's not like a phone. You don't have to press the button and then do all this unlock and then open the app. That takes a while, and it's kind of a lot of work that I don't want to do. So I can literally just take this notepad, open it up, and then write down whatever they said.
Scribble a whole bunch of notes on there.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. What are some ways that you take care of time?
Well, when I was mostly in public school, what they did is they gave me a special journal where every day I would go to a specific page of that date throughout the year. They would always put in the entire date schedule of the entire year, for example, like January, all that stuff. And I would always write down each information for each of my classes in specific parts of the book. And whenever I would get home, I would always, sometimes, especially when you get later on into the year, the book is always so filled up and difficult to find the proper pages. So at first, it seemed like a good method to me, but it just eventually get all cluttered, complicated, hard to find the right page and the right spot. Like, you might even forget the date and you can't even find the page. So what I did eventually was I got a calendar system, which I would, if I could remember everything, I would write it down on the dates they were due, when they had to be done, and like if I had to study for a test or something. So I would always write everything down on a calendar. If I could not remember, then I would try looking through the point of the book where I had my stuff written down, or eventually near the end of the year, I eventually got bookmarks and like a paperclip system where I would put something on the tab and just flip to that specific page. Okay. It worked out for me pretty well.
I got a quick question for you. So, and I love both ideas, but when you get home, what some people do when we're unconscious, right, especially when we're young, as soon as we get in the door at home, we can turn off any part of our brain that wants to do any kind of work or look at notes. You can have that great little handy notepad with all the notes for you. But when you walk in that door at home and your brain shuts off, what reminds you to go back to that and flip through it to start managing your time? Do you have a timer? Do you have something on your watch? Does your phone notify you? Like, what keeps you disciplined to be able to go back through that and look to see how to manage your time rather than spending 4 hours on PlayStation?
That's actually a really, really good question, because I find myself at home often where I don't even check the notepad and I have all this stuff to do. So one thing that my mom and I actually collaborated on was getting me grounded.
So there's a consequence for you if you don't start disciplining yourself to pull it out and look at it and work it.
Yeah, well, not necessarily that, but what we did was her and I stopped me from playing video games and stopped me from getting on YouTube, so that way I would have time to kind of make mental space to make it a habit. It's just like, oh man, I have nothing to do. I've made all my paper airplanes for today and annoyed my sister a bunch. Oh wait, I have that handy dandy notepad. What can I do?
So okay, so your mom allows you or allots a certain amount of time that's blocked out for you to get X, Y, and Z done. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. And when you get home, is it now just a pattern or a habit that you've developed already, or you're still working on it? Are you still working on the pattern, or have you developed it yet?
I still haven't quite got it done.
You're still trying to master it.
Yeah, I am.
All right, good for you.
We got to wrap it up here.
Let's do it. Take us out.
All right, this is KHTS 1220 AM 1220, your hometown station.
Our way on the highway.
Of course, our way on the highway. Goodbye.
Good job, gentlemen.